Okay, so let's check our answers to this. This problem says the function f of x equals 4x minus x squared. And lots of my students will say, I don't even know what that is or how to graph it. The good news is you don't need to because it graphs it for us. So all we need to know is that this is our function of x. Okay, so when we look at this, we know that this is our f function. I'm actually going to use some Post-its to help me. You could use a sheet of paper. You could use your hands to sort of cover up. Okay, but part A, notice the instructions say select all that applies. So we're picking more than one answer here. Okay, so it says f is increasing on the interval x is less than 0. So I want to find where x is less than 0. So that's going to be my negative numbers. Okay, so I'm covering up anything where x is positive because I only want to look where x is negative. Now, don't pay attention to this arrow. I need to decide if it's this, or if it's this, right? Is it uphill, is it flat, or is it downhill? And this is going uphill from left to right, because that's how we read. So this is increasing. Okay, which means option B that says f is decreasing, right, on that same interval can't be true because we already said it was increasing. Okay, now I'm going to move my Post-its because now it says f is increasing on the interval 0 to 2. So now I want to mark between, right? I'm going to mark off. So the only thing I'm looking at is where x is in between 0 and 2. It sort of keeps me from getting distracted by the rest of the graph. Again, I want to decide if this is going uphill, downhill, or if it's flat. So this is going uphill. So this is increasing. Okay, and just like before, D is the same interval but says decreasing, so we don't want to pick that. E says f is increasing on the interval 2 to 4. So now I want to look from 2 to 4. Okay, so I'm going to mark off and just look at this small section. Okay, and this is now going downhill. So it's not increasing. It's instead decreasing. Okay, and then my last interval that I'm looking at is where x is greater than 4. Okay, so I'm looking here at this section. This is going down, so this is decreasing. So I don't want G, but I do want H. So we would have answers of A, C, F, and H. Okay. Now, if we flip over to the back, I'm going to sort of have both of them here side by side. It makes it a little bit easier on the video. Okay, same thing, but now we're looking at the output values. We're not looking at if it goes uphill or downhill, but what the values actually equal. So I'm still looking on part 1 at the interval of x being less than 0. So I'm still looking here, but now I want to know if these numbers are less than 0. Well, look, I'm all the way down here in quadrant 3, which means these are all negative values. Okay, so yes, when f of x is less than 0, we're on the interval x is less than 0, right? These are negative values. Less than 0 means negative. Okay, which means question B isn't true because it's the same interval. Okay, so now we're going to look on the interval 0 to 2. So again, I'm going to put my Post-its down. 0 to 2. And this question wants to know if on this interval from 0 to 2, I get numbers that are greater than 0. So do I get positive numbers? And this photocopy is a little bit lame, but if I pick up my Post-it a little bit here, right, I can see that my axis is right here. So anything above that is going to be positive. And these are all above, right? So these are above. So yes, on this interval, those will be positive. This was actually a typo because these are both the same, but that's okay. So we can pick them both, right? One of those probably should have been less than and one of them greater than, but that's okay. So E, we're looking on the interval, x is less than 0. Nope, we're looking on the interval 2 to 4 for f of x being less than 0. So now we're going to look from 2 to 4. All right, so positive, greater than 0 would be above, less than would be below. These are all above. So we don't want them to be less than 0 We want them to be greater than 0. Okay, and then finally, we're going to look at our last chunk here. Again, here's our axis. I'm sort of highlighting that to make it a little bit darker. When we look here, these values, right, on our interval x is greater than 4, these values are all below the axis, which is negative numbers. So those would be numbers less than 0.